Welcome to the Ketovangelist Kitchen. I'm Brian.
And I'm Carrie.
And this podcast is dedicated to making things simple and easy for you in the kitchen. Carrie Brown is a classically trained, world-class chef who has a passion for creating ketogenic recipes that taste better than anything you've ever experienced. But more than that, she loves teaching people how to cook the right way.
And each week on this podcast, Brian and I discuss all the ways you can create awesome keto food that is guaranteed to make you a rock star in the kitchen.
If you'd like to learn more about Ketovangelist Kitchen, you can go to KetoVangelistKitchen.com and sign up for the newsletter.
In exchange for your email address, you'll get brand new recipes delivered to your inbox, ready for you to whip up in the kitchen and enjoy with your friends and family.
So sit back, relax, and get ready to laugh and learn. You're about to enter the Ketovangelist Kitchen. Carrie Brown. Hey,
hello, sir.
Carrie Brown, hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Mr. Williamson, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right.
Do you know what show this is? Should we tell people what show this is, or do we want to just let them guess? Should we tell them this is the Ketovangelist Kitchen? Oh, no. I gave it away. Man, I'm not good at this. All right, so this is the Ketovangelist Kitchen. I'm Brian. She's. What's your name again?
Carrie.
Did you know that your name is also a verb?
Not spelt the way I spell it,
yeah,
though.
But it is.
Phonetically, it's the same.
It's a homophone. I'm a big fan of homophones because they're different words, but they sound the same. So there. Okay. You know what we should do before we get started?
What should we do?
We should explain to people what they can do to get a hold of us if they want to. You want to do that? Or you want me to do that?
I did that last week. You can do it this week.
Then I will tell them. We are on Twitter and we are on Instagram and we are on Facebook, and you can find us there. Ketovan Kitchen.
We're also on that thing that Brian always forgets.
Which one is that? I forgot.
Pinterest.
Oh, that one. Yes. Pinterest. Oh yeah, Pinterest. Forgot about that one. So we're Ketovangelist Kitchen, and it's Ketovan Kitchen on Twitter, but it's Ketovangelist Kitchen everywhere else. Because thank you, Twitter, for making things difficult. So do you? Again, my ignorance about Twitter. I mean about Pinterest. Do people actually like interact, or is it just like post a picture of something and then hopefully someone will click on it?
You can interact, but it's kind of very buried and nobody does.
Gotcha. Okay. So
you can kind of add notes and stuff to pins, but it's not like Facebook where it's like, hey, this is me, and people, talk to each other, and it's not like that at all.
Do you actually say, hey, this is me?
I've maybe done that once in my life.
Okay. Now, was anyone else in the room when you did that? Or was it just, you were just reassuring yourself?
No, there would have been someone else here.
Okay. Okay.
I talk in cat when people aren't here.
Oh, you talk in cat. I thought you said talking a cat, because that would have been a lot weirder.
Yeah. There's no point in me talking in human much here at my house.
Okay, fair enough.
They do know a few words, and they're very obedient. They know. In fact, I can't say the word out loud because Mr. McHenry will come hurtling from wherever he is. If I say TREATS loudly, he'll come running, and we don't want that. So, but yeah, so they know certain words, but.
Okay, I had to write out what you just spelled because I almost said it.
However, that word is the secret to Mr. McHenry's mani-pedi that he gets every week, because he will lie upside down in my lap and let me clip his claws forever as long as I say that word out loud to him.
That's just weird.
It's kind of magical.
No, that's weird. That's just weird.
Yeah, he'll just lay there and look at me and purr and let me do what I like with his feet, and then we'll get up and he'll have some TREATS, and then he'll be happy and we'll all move on.
I got it. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know.
Hey, whatever works, right?
Whatever works. If you need to get those things cut, yes. I suppose. Okay, so that's that. Oh, you need to tell them. You need to read the review for the week.
Oh, let's read a review. I have a review that was written by Ben_Morgan. And I say underscore in case there's another Ben with no underscore Morgan.
Overscore. If there's a Ben overscore Morgan, or there's a Ben.
We don't want them to get confused.
Right. If there's a Ben overscore Morgan, or if there's a Ben in the middle score Morgan, we're not talking to you people. We're talking to Ben underscore Morgan.
Yes, but I'm just going to call him Ben. I hope that's okay. It's a very friendly review, so I'm hoping that he doesn't mind me being intimate with him.
Man, you are taking a chance. You are taking a chance.
So Ben wrote a review that he entitled Funny and Informative, and he gave us 5 stars, 5 gold stars. Yay. And Ben said, I really love the banter between Brian, that's him, and Carrie, that's me. It's pretty hilarious, and there's a lot of great information about how to cook, what to eat, and what to stay away from. Keep it up, guys.
Well, Ben, thank you very much. I'm glad that you enjoy. What would you call it, banter, or would you call it just, me irritating the crap out of you for like 30 minutes? Is it the same thing?
No, I'd call it banter.
Okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that that Carrie, like when we're done, she like turns her microphone off in an angry sort of way. That's how I picture it. She like yanks the cord out of the back of the microphone. It's like, "Gah! I'm so glad that's over." That was
Meanwhile, Brian, living in his fantasy world.
Yes. Go on. Finish that thought. I'm listening.
Making stuff up all the time.
Right. Okay. No. Except that's not true.
I am a very happy, jolly girl most of the time. There is no cable yanking at the end of our podcasts.
Right. Oh, hey, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. So, what are we going to be talking about today, Carrie Brown? CB?
This is Pigs Part 1.
Pigs Part 1? Pigs? We're talking about pigs. Like for reals, the pigs?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We did Cows Part 1. You remember that?
I have a vague recollection of doing something.
It was Bo's favourite episode, Cows Part 1.
Oh, okay. All right, so pigs then. So what do we...
Pigs Part 1. I mean, I'm saying Part 1. I can't imagine that we could say everything there is to say about pigs in one episode. So let's just assume
and you know why?
It's going to be Pigs Part 2.
Do you know why we couldn't say everything we need to say about pigs in one episode? One word. Bacon. That's why. Because that right there is going to take a lot of time.
Actually, that may take an entire podcast all on its own.
I have a feeling.
And we may actually not call that Pigs Part 2. We might call that Bacon.
Oh. Okay, I see what you did there. All right, that makes sense. All right, so what are we talking about specifically with pigs? Aside from the fact that they are delicious.
Pigs are delicious. And I've always had a little pig crush. I remember when we used to road trip a fair amount when I was a kid, and of course in the English countryside, and we used to drive around and in the country, and I just always used to get the most excited if we ever came across a farm that had pigs. And I was just like enthralled with the whole pigginess of everything, and their little snuffly in the mud, and their little short legs, and their big bellies, and their little houses that they live in. And I was just always, that was always the highlight of the road trip if we saw pigs.
You were pig struck.
Mm-hmm. I was pig struck. And I've always loved pigs ever since then. And even now, I still get that little oh, pigs! If I see pigs when I'm out road tripping now, I don't see them often.
Have you ever thought about getting a pet pig?
the little micro pigs. You see the videos on Facebook, and I have to stop watching them because I just want one of those little micro pigs because they're the cutest little things ever. But no, I don't let myself watch them anymore.
because you can't afford it.
Because
you're going to buy one.
I have a sense that they're far more complicated to look after and take care of than they appear in terms of cuteness.
Right. Okay. So now that we know that Carrie's enamored with swine, we need to talk about basically the different ways that it can be prepared and what's good, what's bad. By the way, I have a bit of trivia for you. You may know the answer to this. I don't know.
Only a bit?
Just a bit. That's all I carry around in my head is a little bit of trivia. Do you know the country in the in the world? The country in the world, not in the universe. The country in the world that has that consumes the most pig per year on average? Can you guess? I'll give you a hint. It rhymes with Nina.
Really?
Yes, it does rhyme with Nina.
China?
Oh, you guessed it. You guessed it. Good. Yes, China. They eat more pigs. They eat more pig on average than everyone else. Like not even close, like double. And you know what the second is?
Several years ago, actually a bunch of years ago now, I went to China and I went to raise money for a children's charity in England. And the deal was that I had to get sponsored and then I was going to spend 8 days walking the Great Wall. And I did, and it was the hardest physical thing I've ever done in my life. But aside from that, pretty much all I ate was cabbage. I don't remember there being a lot of pigs involved in my meals, but I do remember an inordinate amount of cabbage cooked in more ways than I even thought it was possible to cook cabbage.
So, okay.
We should do a cabbage episode.
Okay. I'm good with that.
Okay.
So, okay, then...
So I'm surprised. That my point being that I was surprised that China eats more piggies than anywhere else.
Do you know what the second largest is? The European Union, the EU. So China's way up there, and then the EU is about half of that, and then the United States comes in third with about half of that. So per head, per capita. Well, per capita would probably be if it's per capita, that's a little bit different because there's like 2 billion Chinese folk. So
right.
It would come out to a lot less per capita than the United States because there's like only 350 million United Statesers. So there you go. All right, so let's talk about food then. Now that I've done my trivia.
So I was thinking that one of the things that people found incredibly useful with Cow's Part 1 was the rundown of the fat to protein ratio in all the different cuts so that they knew which the most keto cuts were.
Oh,
so
okay.
I thought we'd do the same thing with the pig.
Oh, this ought to be good. All right, then what are we starting with?
So let's start, and again, bear in mind that I'm very confused when it comes to pig parts because the English call the pig cuts different things to the Americans, which call them different things to the French, and actually they don't only name them differently, but the whole way they cut them in the different countries is different.
Totally different.
So in France, there's like 58 different cuts, whereas in America, there's like 5, for example.
I'm surprised there's even 5, to be honest with you. You'd be like,
so it's just so bear with us. We couldn't possibly explain to you all the different ways that pigs are cut up and the different names they have, but so you may, if we say talk about a pig part and you're in England and you're going, what part is that? You may have to go Google yourself to find out what the corresponding part is where you live.
Right.
So sorry about that.
No, don't apologize. We are an international association.
We are, but for the most part, the non-Americans will have to do more Googling than the Americans, which makes me sad, but there it is.
From what I understand, the international community really enjoys the Googling. They're big fans.
They've had to.
Right. They're big fans. Big fans. Okay, then let's go ahead. What do we got?
So, you get to guess.
Oh boy.
Mr. Williamson.
Uh-oh.
What the number one most keto cut of pork is.
I'm going to have to go with belly.
It is the belly. Ding, 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 ding.
I totally nailed that.
It is like, there is nothing else on a pig that even comes close to the percentage of fat that is in pork belly.
All right. Well, you know what we get from pork belly? You know what?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, we'll come to that in a minute.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I don't want to. Now I'm thinking about it. So it's hard to think about something else now.
I think if I'm looking at a diagram, and I think that the pork belly in England is the same thing as the pork belly in America, but I might be wrong on that. Anyway, belly in America, pork belly, which gives me a prime opportunity to tell you about the awesomeness that is Trader Joe's pork belly. Because, and I'm telling you about this because, yes, you can cook your own pork belly, but it literally takes days. If you do it properly, there's a process whereby you brine it for 3 days under weights, and then you cook it for a number of hours and hours and hours. It's a really, really long, complicated process that involves days of your life. And I've never taken the time to do that. However, Trader Joe's they do the hard, long part. They do the whole days and days process, and then they cut it into 12-ounce pieces, and they package it up and they sell it in their stores. And all you have to do is, well, you have to buy it, obviously, and then you take it home and you just slice it into thick or thin slices, however much you like it. And then you pan fry them saute them for like 4 minutes, just until they're crispy. And so Trader Joe's pork belly is my absolute favorite go-to. I just got home. It's 9 o'clock at night. I need to go to bed, but I need to eat dinner because it literally takes 5 minutes. Take it out of the fridge, slice, saute, 4 minutes, done. It's my favorite dinner.
So this is where our rules reverse, because normally I'm all about, just quick, easy, slap it in the oven, get ready, whatever, or slap it on the stove, whatever, or just put it on the plate and eat it. I am exactly the opposite. I would prefer to slow cook the pork belly, because I buy 3 or 4 or 5 pounds at a time, and I will just salt that sucker down, put it in the oven at a reasonably moderate temperature, say 300 degrees or so, for like an hour or two, and just let it render down, and then take it out, slice it up, and stick it back in for a little while just to get it all crispy. But I wouldn't be able to do that before I went to bed because the house would burn down. I think you know why. But that's my favorite way to make it. Because I don't have a Trader Joe's that I know of around here, so I can't take advantage of that.
Yes. So my point was, you can do it yourself, and more power to you if you do, and it might actually be better. But for me, Trader Joe's pre-cooked pork belly is so delicious that I'm just like, maybe this is terrible of me to say, but why would I go to all that effort if I can just
That is
slice
terrible,
it,
Carrie.
it?
That is terrible.
Is that terrible?
That is
really
terrible for you to say.
Okay.
That.
Okay. At some point in the future, then I will do pork belly the proper way, and I'll share the recipe so that anyone who's wanting to do that can.
Okay. There you go. That's a promise to be made, to be fulfilled at a later date.
Right? But for now, for everyone who's super busy and doesn't have time, pork belly is 92% fat.
Cool. That's good stuff.
Which is why it tastes so entirely delicious.
Mm-hmm.
And if you crisp it, it's just like the best thing. And dare I say, I'll say it quietly.
Shh.
It's better than bacon.
Oh, see, I have to agree. I honestly have to agree. So the first time we had pork belly, Sherry made it, and because she had some at someone's house. She went to a gathering. There was like a birthday party or something for my daughter. So my wife drove her out there, and while she was there, they were serving pork belly, and she said it was just unbelievably good. So she asked the hostess, "How'd you make it?" And the hostess told her, and Sherry wrote it down. And then she bought some and she made it. Well, she wasn't exactly sure if she remembered all the directions exactly. So she did what she did from memory, and she thinks she overcooked it. And I was like, "This is the best thing ever." Like, she was like, "Yeah, but it's kind of like tough, and it's not like melt in your mouth." And I was like, "Are you kidding me? This is like the best kind of jerky rolled in with bacon mixed together, and it's salty and peppery, and it was the best." And she's like, "I don't know, you're weird." I'm like, "No, make more of this. This is good." So it's hard to screw it up, is my point. Even when you think you've screwed it up, it's still good.
I'm glad your wife also thinks you're weird. That makes me feel better.
She thinks a lot of things. Weird is just one of them. So
that's a good start, though. About you.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. So pork belly, 92% fat. If you buy it pre-cooked, instant dinner, and possibly the most. I mean, it's up there with leeks. Oh,
see, now you lost me. I was tracking for a little bit.
On my list of things, if I was ever in a situation where I was being offered a last meal, it would be pork belly and sautéed leeks.
How many situations can you anticipate that for you? Like, I've got to be like, that's a bit curious. Like, at what point in time you're like, "Oh yeah, it's Thursday, last meal time." I don't know. But okay,
this is America. Anything could happen.
Yeah, we're watching you. Okay.
But yes, if I was ever at kind of a last meal stage, it would be pork belly and sautéed leeks. That's how much I love pork belly. So pork belly is awesome.
Awesome. Yes,
okay,
I agree.
So
you can leave the leeks out though. I just want to make sure that everyone understands that part of it.
What do you think is the second most keto, aka fattiest cut pork?
Oh, God, that's a tough one because pork belly is so good. I'm gonna mess this up, I know, but I'm gonna have to say either the shoulder or the butt.
No.
Nope, I'm wrong. Okay, is it the loin?
It is the baby back ribs.
Oh, I wasn't even thinking about that. Okay.
Which is the loin back rib. So you were half kind of there.
Okay. I'll take half.
So ribs, if you're keto, get some keto barbecue sauce. The recipe is over at www.ketoevangelistkitchen.com for free. Just hop up there and get it. Keto barbecue sauce, which I understand is very good. And I say I understand it's very good because, of course, I am American, but I spent most of my life not being American, so barbecue is not really a huge thing in England. So I relied on lots of American taste testers to tell me if this was good or not, and apparently it is. So go up there and get yourself some keto barbecue sauce made and slap it on some baby back ribs, and you are in keto heaven. Because baby back ribs come in at 77% fat.
77%. Yeah. Now here's the thing, though. I have to say, ribs. There are zealots in the rib making community who insist there's certain ways that are proper to make ribs. My point, all I'm saying is, if you're making ribs, just make sure you make them in a way that works for you. Don't just try someone else's just because someone else tried it. Some people boil the ribs, some people don't. Some people insist on smoking them for a certain period of time. Some people just stick them in the oven. There's lots of different ways to do it. Just find what works for you. They can be tricky, though. They should fall apart, not the bone. The bone shouldn't fall apart. The bone should slide out real easy like. So there you go. I'm just saying.
You would know a lot more about baby back ribs than me, because British.
As a barbecue connoisseur, I'm just saying, you're eating the ribs correctly if they basically just peel apart real easy like, and the bone just slides out real easy like, because all that collagen has been rendered out, and it's delicious stuff. And if it's real tough and it's not easy, then it hasn't been cooked long enough. Really, is the thing, or it's just So anyway, there you go.
And next on the list, you were almost right last time, is shoulder. Okay.
Shoulder.
At 73%.
So okay. The shoulder. Okay, so there's two cuts that are basically the same thing, right? There's something called the butt, and it's also called the shoulder, and they're the same kind of cut. And someone will say, okay, it's like a Boston butt is kind of the common term for a particular upper part of the shoulder, and people are like, it's a butt. I'm like, well, think about it. Pig has 4 shoulders. 2 are in the front, 2 are in the back, and so it's a butt. It's also a shoulder. So it's basically the same functionality is the point. So when you hear someone talking about butt or shoulder, that's the same thing, which is different than people. Although I've talked to some people that I'm pretty sure they had a butt on their shoulders. And that's it. I think Carrie's gone for the day.
Right. So thank you for that. I'm sure that particularly the non-Americans were giggling over that entire description.
Because I said butt?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And then you said the shoulder was the same as the butt, and that the pig has 4 shoulders, and I'm just, anyway. So then I'm going to run to the bottom of the list, because there's a bunch of things in the middle, but we want to focus on the top and the bottom. So
you said bottom. That's the same as butt.
No.
Oh.
I'm talking about a list now.
Oh, okay. Because running to the...
You would never say the butt of the list.
Oh, now I will. Dibs on the band name butt of the list.
What is the least ketogenic or the least fatty cut of pork, Mr. Williamson?
I'm going out on a limb, okay? And I'm going to say something along the lines of the loin or the Canadian bacon type cut.
Nah.
Am I wrong?
You are wrong.
Oh, okay. Then what is it?
You're much better at cows than you are at pigs.
That's true. It's very true.
Is that because you have cows in your garden?
I don't really have cows in the garden per se, but they stand at the fence next to me and they stare at me. Like if I were to go to the window right now, I can guarantee you 2 or 3 of them would be out there and they'd be plotting something. they'd be like whispering, and they'd see me open the curtain, and they'd like look away real fast and like wait for me to move. I know they are. Anyway, move. All right. So what is it then? If it's not,
It's the pork chop.
oh, see, I wouldn't even think of that.
So, lovely people, don't not eat pork chops, because pork chops are awesome. And if you have not heard the pork chop episode, one, it's hysterical, and even I laugh at that. If I'm feeling down, I just listen to the pork chop episode, and it just makes me happy. Also, the recipe for how to make the juiciest pork chops you've ever had in your life are up on www.KETOVangelistKitchen.com, and go up there and learn how to cook a pork chop, which until you do it, you won't believe that it's the best way to cook a pork chop. But once you've done it, you'll be a convert. Don't not eat pork chops because you're like, they're only 45% fat, they're too lean, whatever. Just remember when you're eating your delicious pork chop to add some fat. You would not need to add any fat to your pork belly or to your baby back ribs or anything like that. But, make yourself a fatty sauce or something fatty to go with your pork chop if you want to up the ketogenic ratio, as it were.
All right. Okay, so the pork chop is the least fatty of all the cuts.
It is. And as I say, that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
Bear that in mind and add some, go all out with adding some extra fat to your meal if you are having pork chops.
Okay, so I do want to point out one thing, because there's a common question. This is kind of unrelated, but I did mention it, so I do want to bring it up again. For Americans, we know what bacon is, and we hear something about Canadian bacon or Canadian style bacon, and most Americans are like confused as to what that means. So Canadian style bacon or Canadian bacon is, so like the pork belly is exactly what it sounds like. It's the belly, right? It's the fattiest part, and it's the belly of the pig. The loin of the pig is is the hemisphere on the top side of that. So there's the loin, which is on top, and then it goes all the way around to the belly, right? The Canadian bacon is taken from that loin side. So it's basically the same area of the pig, just the top side of it. It's the top hemisphere of the pig. And of course, underneath that is going to be the ribs. So that's when we're talking about Canadian bacon, that's why it's called bacon. It's because it's taken from that area. I just wanted to point that out, because Americans are confused by certain terminologies. Now, I will.
Yes.
Let me caveat this also. If there's a Canadian person listening and I'm wrong about that, keep it to yourself. No, I'm kidding. Let us know. Let us know where I've made that mistake so that we can correct moving forward. We don't want to give bad information. All right, what's next?
So you all may be wondering what's happening, because I did the top fatty pieces and then I jumped to the bottom, and there's that magical thing that we haven't talked about yet. It didn't come on any list anywhere.
Oh boy, I like where this is going.
You do or you don't?
I think I do. Maybe I don't. Uh-oh, now I'm nervous. What are we talking about?
So where does bacon come? I know that's what you all want to know.
Right. What about bacon?
Bacon comes in at 71%.
Okay, so it's not quite there.
So it's not quite there, which might surprise you, because it is, very fatty. You can visibly see it when you buy your bacon, but it is actually comes in at 72. Sorry, did I say 71%? Bear in mind, though, of course, that you can pick over the bacon in the packets, and you can visibly see that 71 is an average, and that there's
right.
some are a lot fattier than others. So it's going to be around 71% on the fat. So, which actually makes it a pretty perfect thing to eat on a ketogenic diet.
Yes, I quite agree. You know what else we didn't talk about yet? which probably is going to have its own episode. Ham. Another good subject of pig.
Yes.
It's also, ham is misunderstood, I think, a lot of times. I'm just saying.
I misunderstand ham regularly.
Why am I not surprised to hear that? Why am I not surprised to hear that?
And I spent most of my growing up years thinking that ham fat was the grossest thing ever.
Oh, really?
Except I didn't use the word gross because I was in England and we didn't use that word.
What did you say?
Yeah, I did.
Mm-hmm. What did you say instead? What's the English word for gross?
Disgusting, I think, was probably the word I would have used.
Oh, that's
ham fat.
So you didn't like it, huh?
And I think this is, and I'm talking about a ham, a whole ham that's been boiled or whatever you do with it, and then you let it cool, and then you slice it cold, and there's that kind of big bit of solid white fat on the ham, and that was ham fat.
Oh, that's good stuff right there.
I spent my childhood having nightmares about that kind of ham fat.
I love that.
And
stuff.
it kind of colored my views on ham all up, right. And not in a good way.
All right. Well, that's definitely something we're going to have to talk about then. We're going to have to decolor your view on ham then, maybe.
Right.
Okay. So bacon, not being the fattiest cut, is probably the most popular cut, though, or the most popular portion. And we can talk more about that.
I think it's only the most popular portion because a lot of people have yet to discover the gloriousness that is pork belly.
I quite agree. Pork belly is really good. It's like ham, but better.
So I think we will see that change. But for right now, you're right. Bacon is there's the everything tastes better with bacon.
Right.
And and bacon does go with an amazing array of things. From a ketogenic perspective, it goes particularly well with things like avocados, butter, eggs. It goes very well with lettuce.
Okay. I knew you had to throw that in there. Oh,
no, it does. I mean, bacon and lettuce, all good. That's why lettuce wrap burgers. If you're doing a lettuce wrap burger, put bacon in there. Mm-hmm.
And then throw the lettuce away. That's a perfect lettuce wrap right there.
Onions, tomatoes, vinegar. Those are the kind of the key things that bacon just rocks with those things. But also, mushrooms, mayonnaise, all sorts of things. So bacon is lovely.
Okay, I have a question for you.
Eat your bacon.
I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you prefer your bacon to be crispy or to be slightly on the not wilty side, but not quite as firm?
Yeah, that. And
really?
I think that's a British thing. We don't think that bacon should be able to be snapped.
Oh my. Okay. That is very not. That's very strange. That's very strange for me.
It's like we like it when it still has like a bit of moisture in it.
It's flexible.
Yeah.
It's really hard to
crispy on the fatty pieces, but flexible, right? I mean, American bacon, some of it you just touch it and it just shatters, and I'm like, what is that?
Well, that's when you put it on stuff, or you put it in a bowl full of cheese and you just eat that.
No.
So it's really hard though.
I'd never had bacon. I'd never had shatterable bacon until I moved to America, and I find it quite odd.
Well, you're welcome, first of all. Second of all, it's really hard to dip wilty bacon into guacamole.
Well, there you think, because British people don't dip bacon into guacamole, they don't. So the wilty bacon is like fine.
The more I talk to you, the less I understand the British people. And I just don't get it. Oh, by the way, I need to
like a bit of mystery.
Right. I need to clarify something about guacamole. I realize this is a bacon I'm sorry, a pork / pig episode. But I have to point out that bacon and guacamole are like a match made in heaven. And I was talking to someone recently about guacamole, and they made a statement that they can't eat guacamole because of they may be allergic to nightshades. And all I want to say is you don't have to put tomatoes and other stuff in guacamole, right? So, and I'm talking specifically to Rekka right now, because
hi Rekka,
what's up, Rex? But the point is, and I'm using Rekka as my example, but you don't have to put tomato stuff in your guacamole. You can just mash up some guacamole, throw some salt and some lime juice in it, delicious. Then go to town with the bacon. Is all I'm saying.
Which is what a British person thinks guacamole is avocado. And then I came here and I bought guacamole in a tub and took it home, and the top of my head nearly blew off because it had all sorts of, I don't know what in it, hot stuff, and I don't even know what was in it. And so since then I've been a bit wary of pre-prepared guacamole.
I love me some guacamole that's got habanero or jalapeno, tomato, onion powder, garlic. It's just I could go to town on some guacs. I'm just saying, it's good. Yeah, that's another thing that us Brits, we're just like, it's mashed avocado. Okay then. Yeah, but it's good. Now don't get me wrong.
And we don't dip our bacon in it.
I hated avocados and guacamole before I became keto. I will say that. But I think that's because I was contaminated with sugar. So I didn't really understand the nuance of it all. But it's good stuff. And I like the idea of experimenting with guacamole to come up with different kinds of things. Hint, hint, Carrie Brown, who makes cookbooks. So
we should do an episode called The Decontamination of Brian Williamson.
I don't know that I'd want to do that. I would certainly I certainly wouldn't want to listen to it. I don't know if I'd want to participate.
Okay,
in it.
Pigs part 1.
All right, pigs. Let's go back to pigs.
No more guac. Stop it.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so what's next then?
So pork chops. I'm not talking specifically about pork chops, but I'm thinking about what goes with pork particularly well. And pork chops you can just cook on their own. And as I said, the recipe is up on KETOVangelistKitchen.com. If you've had a life thinking that pork chops were dry, you will discover that pork chops are actually like the juiciest thing ever if you know how to cook them the right way. So go do that. But other things that pork goes particularly well with are, if you're looking for flavorings, if you're looking to season pork, a couple of things that go very well with pork. Garlic goes very well with pork. Mustard goes very well with pork.
Oh, you had me, but then you lost me.
Sage is like top thing that tastes fantastic with pork. So sage.
Okay.
There's also things that we don't eat, so I'm just not even going to talk about them because we don't eat them.
Well, okay, so hold on. I have something that I want to toss out there to you.
Yes.
Okay. Now, one of the most common flavor combinations in the culinary world, for some reason, I don't know why, involves pork chops and a certain other thing that we don't eat.
Right.
So I was messing around with a possible substitution, and apple cider vinegar with some erythritol in it, mixed in with it, is an interesting flavor, and it does some interesting stuff with pork chops. I'm just saying that's something.
Define interesting.
It doesn't suck. It does bring out certain kinds of nuance. So it gets a sweet and sour kind of flavor to it. And
funny you should say that, because vinegar is one of the things that goes very well with pork.
I wonder why that is.
So vinegar and pork is another good flavory thing. Cilantro goes very well with pork.
Okay, I have to stop you there. That's if cilantro doesn't taste like soap to you.
Okay, for you and me, we would never put cilantro with our pork.
Or anything. We wouldn't even have it in the house.
Right, or anything. But since we're talking about pigs, part one, no cilantro for Brian and I, or if you have that gene that we both do that makes you think cilantro tastes like soap, don't do cilantro. But for the rest of the cilantro-loving world, if you're thinking about pork and you want to think about what herbs you could cook with it or a sauce to do something different, cilantro is one of those things. Also, ginger, pork and ginger go very well. Mustard, I already mentioned that. Rosemary. Rosemary goes well with pork. Sage, I already mentioned. Thyme, vinegar, white wine. All of those things that I mentioned are different ways that you can enhance your pork and maybe put a different spin on it. Those are the things that really, really go well with the pork.
Okay. Anything else?
Sausages.
Sausages goes well with pork?
No, we haven't talked about sausages.
Oh, okay. All right.
Which are traditionally made with pork. Although certainly in England, they're almost exclusively made with pork. But here I've noticed that there's quite a lot of pork and beef or pork and something.
Yes.
So, but sausages are another porky thing that you can eat that yes. I absolutely love.
Okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing about sausages. We're going to have to do a whole episode on sausages, but let me just, because we kind of already did with the salami one, but sausages are a fantastic way to get a variety of different kinds of meats in one, portable container. So when people talk about the fact that you're not getting this or you're not getting that on keto, look, the different cuts of meat, organ meats in particular, have tons and tons of vitamins and minerals. So if you don't like eating them by themselves, you can almost guarantee to find a sausage of some kind with that stuff in it. I just want to say that. So, and it tastes delicious. So there you go.
Anyway,
I'm going to stop interrupting you now.
Yes, we will do an episode on sausages and particularly sausages are a huge thing in England. We call them bangers.
Bangers and mash.
Bangers, bangers, and we typically eat them with mash.
Yes.
But normal potatoes, but we'll do it with mash that's not made of potatoes. But so bangers and mash. So I come from a country which is steeped in sausage history.
That is a phrase that I never thought I would hear someone say.
Yeah.
My country is steeped in sausage history.
Yeah. So we'll talk about sausages at length at another time.
Okay.
And if you want weird sausages, just go to England and there's like handmade sausage weirdness everywhere, or every little town will have their own sausage making person or butcher who's got some crazy flavor combination. So if you love sausages, England's the place.
All right. There you go.
So that was a quick tour around your friendly neighborhood pig.
Right. Okay, then you know what time it is now then.
Yes.
It's Motivation Monday. So, Carrie, what's our motivation for today, for this week, for today?
Success is not always what you see.
Success is not always what you see. Oh, I like it. Okay, so that to me, that brings to mind that just because someone else is looking a certain way, or because someone else has had some sort of results, doesn't mean just because you're not mirroring them or you're not having the same results, doesn't mean that you're not being successful. Is kind of how that played out to me. What about you?
Well, I think particularly when two things, very completely opposite things. One is, the outward success in the Western world is kind of equated with money. And so if you have a lot of money, that's automatically seen as success. But there's a lot of people who don't wear their success, as it were, in terms of big houses and flashy cars and all the rest of it. So that's one thing that it made me think of. Just because you don't have all of those things doesn't mean that you're not super successful. The other thing it made me think of was the whole, and this is something that we get a lot in the Facebook groups, is, I haven't lost any weight, but I'm 2 dress sizes smaller or 2 pant sizes smaller.
What am I doing wrong?
What am I doing wrong?
Right.
And so, and again, a third thing I think about is, and I think is a great example of this, is that, while his body might not be doing what he'd like it to do all the time in terms of shedding weight, the insides, his blood work is amazing. So he's actually having huge success. It just might not look like it to someone else who doesn't know what's going on inside. And I think the same is true of a lot of us, particularly when we're on the journey, kind of before we've arrived, is that what's going on internally, the healing and the hormone balancing and the state of our blood is not immediately reflected on the outside in terms of size. So there you may be experiencing a huge amount of success. You just can't see it externally.
All right. So there you go. I mean, you kind of have to adjust your expectations a little bit, or adjust what it is that that you're wanting. Because let's face it, I mean, just because you're not moving where you expect to be moving doesn't mean that you're not going to get there at some point in time, right? So, I mean, you got to focus on the victories that you do have, I guess.
Right. So if you, for example, if you focus on a number, you would look at that and go, well, I haven't lost any weight, so I'm not successful. But if you use the measurement of pant size, same body, same difference, you'd be very successful because you're now 2 pant sizes smaller.
Right.
So it depends what you're looking at. You look at one set of numbers and you're like, wow, I'm a complete failure. You look at another set of numbers
you're like,
for the
wow,
same body
Aunt
and you're
Julie's
like,
a complete
wow,
failure.
I'm super successful.
Right.
So just be very careful about how you define what success is.
All right, there you go. So read it to us one more time.
Success is not always what you see.
All right, so that's your thought for today and this week. And that'll do it for Motivation Monday. All right, so what's the final word? What's the so what? What are we ending this on? What's the word on the pigs?
Eat them.
Eat them. Eat them all. All right, then. Well.
Eat pigs.
Pigs
particularly pork belly.
Yes, pork belly. Go try some. If you haven't, you'll thank us. And you'll thank us profoundly and profusely. I can guarantee it.
Yes. And if you post about it in our groups, if you need some Facebook loving, just post about pork belly.
I don't know what to make of that, but okay. I'm not sure if I can.
Post a picture of some pork belly in our Facebook group and 60,000 people will be loving your post.
Okay, that's a little bit better. But otherwise it's weird. All right. So there you go. Go try some pork. We're going to talk more about pork stuff later, but this is a kind of a primer and intro. All right. So I guess that'll do it. I guess I'll talk to you next week there, Carrie Brown.
At this point, I don't see why you wouldn't.
Oh, okay. But things have been known to change.
Hey, this is life, right? It's exciting and wild and bumpy, and who knows what's going to happen in the next 7 days.
I do not.
Me either.
All right, then. Well, then, okay. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
And that'll do it for this episode of the KETOVangelist Kitchen. try some pork belly. You'll love it. Pork is it's good. It's good for you. It's good foods. Lots and lots of varieties too, and we'll talk more about it in the future. But this is kind of the intro. All right then. You can connect with us on the social medias. Leave us a review on iTunes. Tell the world how awesome Carrie is, and we'll read your review on the air, and you'll hear her say it in her fantabulous British accent. All right, and that'll do it. Until next time, keep being awesome. Powered by ketones.